Okay, so that's a peacock, by the way. The guy who keeps chickens at the garden thinks I asked him why he has a peacock. He said, because I can. Anyway, so I decided I need to plant these miserable tomatoes. I have like, 3 San Marzanos that are alive and one that may or may not make it. And I have, which is kind of like a Roma, but they're from a town, San Marzano in Italy, and they taste wonderful. And then I've got Marriage Big Brandy 2 plants here, and I have my own. Oh, they're beefsteak. That's not mine, but I started them from seed. They're they're heirloom, and the reason they're miserable is because I planted them in topsoil because it was cheaper, and the way that potting soil is these days, there's like not much difference. It's like full of sticks and everything and rocks, but I'm gonna go back to buying an expensive bag of organic potting soil from Callaway's because like these are just miserable. That's the only thing that was different. Like the lower branches died and fell off, and then a lot of them just died they just didn't like the topsoil. So this is my garden, and I've been away for like 3 weeks, overgrown with grass and weeds, to the point that like I was like, what? Insane. And it's because of all the rain, because it was all weeded last month. The weeds just took over because of all the rain, and that's just what weeds do. But look, my corn, doing pretty well. What else is going on here? My lettuce bolted, and my cilantro was beautiful. It all bolted, and now it's dying because it made flowers and seeds, and so I probably won't have to plant that next year. This is kale, and I guess, I don't know, like Texas is too warm for the kale. I planted it as soon as I could in like early spring, like even before the last frost date. Or you know what, my garden's just miserable. There's a fertilizer recipe that my fellow gardeners, one of them is a professor at TWU of biology, and he figured out what the soil here is missing, and he created a fertilizer recipe, an organic one, I think, and then so I'm waiting to get the recipe from them. My green beans are not happy. Probably the same reason. There's just something wrong with the soil. I don't know. There's a little sunflower. Another sunflower. Oh wow, that's a cantaloupe. Hale's Best Jumbo. These are my sweet potatoes. They don't look so happy, but maybe they'll take off later, like they did last year. Another sunflower. Another sunflower. I don't see any nasturtiums. I planted nasturtiums here. I don't see any pumpkins, of course. That's what always happens. Ooh, an okra. That's an okra plant. One okra plant. I planted a lot of seeds. Yep. I think I planted cucumbers here. They never grow. Lettuce that's bolting. Green lettuce. These are cosmos flowers, and I decided I don't want them in my garden this year. They seeded themselves. The reason I don't want them in my garden is because they go crazy and spread, and they're not really a garden helper. I want garden helpers that are like nasturtiums and marigolds, French marigolds that repel the pests. Besides attracting bees. And then, oh, there's a tomato that made it, survived. I think that's a beefsteak, an heirloom beefsteak that I started all of them from seed. My tomatoes, Most of them died. There's two, I don't know if you can see them, two like miserable little, the seed I'm developing, which is organic beefsteak tomato I got from the store, grown in Mexico. I love the flavor. I got it from the health food store, and this is like my 4th generation of them. And then that was peas. They hate the heat. This is Texas. It's 98 degrees here in early June. So yeah, all right. And that I wasn't working in that plot is because I got another plot. Because that one, all my peppers died. That was a mosquito I blew off. And so my peppers are doing better here. And I pulled, this was all grass that I pulled out. And there's some poison ivy over there. I got a case of poison ivy. And these are my soil amendment bags. And of course the fire ants. I just moved one and now they're all like trying to move their nest. Yes, they're fire ants. I should know. They've been biting me for the past few years. And then there's some eggplants that like are kind of like meh. I don't know. One of them actually died. My tomatoes that I planted here, look what happened to them. It's because of all the rain and the soil trapped the water in around the roots. Like if you dig a hole the day after rain, it just fills right up with water. Look at these miserable things. But my peppers are like all the love. Like my peppers were feeling it. So that one actually is making a baby pepper. It's a bell pepper. Those are jalapenos. So that's this plot anyway. Dark here. I pulled all the weeds out of here and decided that I would use this thing normally for peas, for tomatoes. These are very stunty. They didn't want to grow in my home in the topsoil, so there's 4 of them, 2 this side, 2 that side, and they're hard to see. And I also forgot all about the garlic because it died. But that's what it's supposed to do. When it gets hot, it dies, and then it's ready for harvesting. But I harvested it last year, but this year I'm going to just leave it and let it spread. I heard from an older woman who heard it from another old woman that if you plant garlic and you don't touch it for a year, you'll have garlic forever. So we'll see. And there's carrots I found. Now that I got the weeds out, I found a lot of good stuff. Found more okra. There's an okra over there. Yeah, that's an okra. So I didn't expect to weed today, but I just couldn't, that's how I would find like this grass clump. The grass is growing in clumps, and I'd be like, just let me get this one clump out. It will look so much better. This already looks better. Anyway, it's getting dark. I got to get 2 more tomatoes in the ground.